ChroNoSo Connection. Welcome to ChroNoSo. This is a special video edition, but if you're listening throughout the entire audio experience, we were just a small sliver of WrestleFest 1988. I'm with my friend Keith. Keith, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are
I'm
you?
JT, by the way. I didn't even introduce. I feel most
You are
people know my voice
JT.
by now.
You are the
Yeah,
one and only.
yeah, yeah. So you and I are buddies on ChroNoSo. Generally, I leave you
Yes,
hanging sometimes, but
that's okay. It's
we
all
work
right.
together on
No,
occasion as
no
well.
problem. Yeah, I feel like that we have a good flow when it comes to talking about the history and the the many myths of professional wrestling
Mm,
throughout the years. So
mm. And
work.
WrestleFest is an interesting show because like it was released as a home video, but it was
Mhm.
chopped up. So it's one of those ones where like over the years people have kind of dug up the different pieces of it and put it all together and there's copies out there that you can find. Um and the match we're talking about today actually is available if you search for it, and that is Mr. Perfect. I don't think it's Red Rooster, right? It's Terry Taylor in this match. I think it's Mr. Is
I
he
think
even
it's
Mr.
still.
Perfect yet?
I
Is it
know.
Curt Hennig?
I think it's still Curt Hennig. Curt Hennig versus
Terry
Terry
Taylor.
Taylor, which is just
Yeah.
an incredible. On paper, you're like, what?
Right. Bizarre. And this is like one of Henig's earliest, if not, I don't know if it's his
Yes.
first match. We can look at it. But so he had obviously finally jumped over from the AWA. Terry Taylor had been an NWA mainstay. They both, and Mid South and all that, but they both come in here at the same time. And we'll talk about the mythos and the rumors behind this match once we get into the match itself. It's about halfway through the card on WrestleFest, right after, I guess, time wise, chronologically wise, takes after Savage and DiBiase in the card.
Mm.
But again, this card is hacked up to all pieces. Did you rent this VHS as a kid?
I did. Actually, I did. I
Yeah.
remember we had a couple of we had a video store. It was called Avenue Video, and it was just because the video stores were on avenues, and so I used to go in and I would rent all the tapes, and this was one of the tapes that I got, and I remember watching this. This is not on that tape.
Right.
As you had just explained, and but I remember WrestleFest also because my local movie theater had the video game WrestleFest, and I think I wore that machine out
Mm-hmm.
playing that in the arcade. So yeah, this was I was all gung ho for WrestleFest.
Well, the weird thing too is, isn't Hogan Andre in the cage on the case, and it wasn't on the tape? Wasn't that
Yeah,
like something weird like that? Like they show it on the VHS, like out the shell or whatever. But then
yeah,
they didn't air that match on the Coliseum video. Like Savage DiBiase is like the main match
sure.
on the video. So
Well,
Hogan Andre,
I
or is
feel
it the
like
other
they
way
would.
around? Was Hogan Andre on the video and Savage?
No, I don't
You're
think
gonna have to
Hogan and
scroll over
Andre.
this.
I don't think Hogan and Andre were on the card, even though that's the main event of the show. That was, I think, the selling point of the show was it was
Right.
kind of like it was almost like the final battle of the two of them, you know. But yeah, no, I don't know why. It's kind of they would do that from time to time, like especially with like the best ofs. Like you'd see a match on the cover, and that wasn't even the match. I remember there was like one of the Rampage tours that had like a picture of like Bossman versus somebody, like Bossman versus Jake or something
Right.
like
And it's
that.
not even on there.
And
Yeah.
Jake's not even in the company anymore. So it's like where the hell do they get that picture from? So yeah.
So I mean, a lot of these matches aired on different, like a bunch were on prime time,
Hmm.
a bunch were on VHS releases. Like Savage DiBiase is on Macho Madness,
Hmm.
Warrior Bobby's on the Warrior DVD, the Bobby tape.
Yep.
So like this stuff is all over the place. Hogan Andre is actually on a few different things, um, but yeah, I wanted to
I
see
did
real
look
quick with the actual VHS release.
I did look up. This was Hennig's first second match.
Okay,
So his first match is he defeats Scott Casey at a house show in Tacoma, Washington on July 29th, 1988,
okay,
and then he wrestles Terry. So this is where we kind of get into that mythos of what
right.
this match actually the repercussions of this match, which is going to be funny to talk about.
Yeah, I'm trying to look real quick to see if I can find the actual like VHS of what's on there.
Yeah, because even if you go to like Cage Match and look up the card, it's the
It just
entire
shows the whole
card.
card.
Yeah, so it's really weird. I don't know what was on it
Well,
actually.
history of WWE, VHS here. Let me check real quick here. Because I know when Graham did these, like he had a section just for the VHS releases and what was on those.
Hmm.
So let me look real quick. I'm in '88, and if it's not here, we'll move on. we'll continue to beat this into the ground.
Right.
Um,
I'm trying to
SummerSlam.
I'm trying to look and see, like, even on the eBay, like if you can get the VHS tape on
Right.
eBay.
All right. Here's the WrestleFest. Yeah, it was the other way around. So it does have Hogan Andre. It's
Okay.
Savage DiBiase that's not on. That's what
All
I
right.
thought. Okay. So
Okay.
it's Rougeau's versus the Bees. Bad News versus Brett, Duggan Honky, Powers of Pain Bolsheviks, Neidhart Poffo, Jake and Rude, Warrior Bobby, Demolition versus the Bulldogs,
Mm,
Bravo Patera, and Hogan Andre is on the tape.
okay. All right.
So Savage isn't. This match isn't. I'm not sure what else. Beefcake Hercules. Did I say that? That was on the card. That's not on here. So I don't know. So those three at the very least aren't on this actual show.
Yeah. The beefer, as you
The
called him.
beefer. The beef man. All right, let's fire this up. So, like I
Yep.
said, if you search around the usual video sites, you'll find it. But we're gonna go ahead and share it for
The viewing
ourselves
audience.
while we
Yes.
watch here. Were you familiar with Hennig at all, like before he showed up?
No, only because I wasn't at that point reading any of the PWI or anything like that. So not really. I mean, we didn't get AWA at all, and at least I don't think we did in Boston.
Nah, yeah, that was more Midwest, North.
Yeah. But I'm even thinking, like, I know, like, how, like, ESPN would sometimes play stuff, but I think, wasn't ESPN up here, like, playing, like, WCCW?
They did have AWA, I think, for a while, but I think it was early. It was like
Yeah.
86
Oh, like,
or
even,
whatever.
oh,
Like
yeah,
by the
yeah,
time
yeah.
by the time we started watching, it was World Class. That was like 87, 88. I remember
Yeah.
watching that. That's like some of my first memories watching wrestling was like World Class on ESPN. And then Global was the big ESPN. Like I remember
Oh,
that
yeah.
was like every like Thursday at 4 or something like that. And it was
Yep.
I watched that religiously on
Global.
ESPN.
Yeah. I was a big fan of Global, actually.
Global's awesome.
Pete,
I
Pete
mean, it was
busts my
terrible, but it
chops
was
about
awesome.
being a big fan of Global. He's always like,
It was
you're a
fun.
big fan of Global? I was like, yeah, man. So
Lightning Kid.
that's right.
But so this is it's full on Curt Hennig. He's in the tights, and the legend goes right. So here's the legend of this match, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to focus on this. Right, is that this match was kind of a test for both guys, and both guys were up for the character of Mr. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I believe that the loser was going to be the Red Rooster. Like I don't know if that was really a plan yet, but I don't. I just don't buy it. Like I don't know. Excuse me, and not to like I like Scott Keith, we're buddies and all that. Like, but like, there's a whole set of wrestling rumors, right? And I think he
Yeah.
would even, you know, admit to this, right? That him and others kind of conflated and started up and spun up in the early days of the internet, late '90s, early
Mm,
2000s. Maybe with stuff from our buddy Herb Coons that we talk about, the place to be, different
yep.
news group stuff, like, oh, this was the, and it just gets passed down as lore, right, on the internet
Yeah.
in the early days.
I can't buy it either. I mean, knowing from other people who have come in and had conversations, like how they say usually you get the call from Vince and then you go
Mm-hmm.
into the office or you go into his house or wherever, depending on how high up in the card you were going to be. And you sit down, you have a talk, and he says, what are you into? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I could see a guy, like, knowing how athletic Curt Hennig was, I could
Yeah.
see him going in and being like, well, I play this, I play that, I play this, I play that, I do this.
Mm-hmm.
And having Vince go, wow, it sounds like you're just a perfect character altogether. There it is.
Perfect.
Yeah. But, and knowing that, I think, and I've always said this, I think Terry Taylor pissed somebody off, like, in the beginning, like in his interview or whatever. And that's where they came up. Because when you talk about Pritchard talking about he's a cock of the walk and all that kind of stuff, it almost sounds like they were deliberately trying to shit all over him. And even when he first
maybe he was a
came
little
in,
arrogant coming in or something.
yeah, and like even when he first came in and how they treated him, because they treat him and Perfect very differently. Like Perfect comes in as an already fully established like dynamite guy, whereas Taylor comes in and he's got Bobby Heenan shitting on him, and then he's he says, "Oh, you're a piece of garbage, and I'm going to turn you into something great." And it's so I have to believe that that's all nonsense.
I mean, do you like could Taylor have been Mr. Perfect? Like, I guess, but he wouldn't have been nearly as successful. Like nearly, I think it would have been just like something like kind of another run of the mill during this time period. I think he had the way to carry himself.
Yeah.
To be a Mr. Perfect, I think in ring, like his work is there to be in that gimmick, but Curt Hennig just had that that I don't think Terry Taylor ever had, and it's clear because he never made it far.
Well, I mean that's like who is it that comes in around the same time as the Undertaker that they had, and there was like not that there was discussion about
Shondo, Charles Wright, maybe.
No,
that was a year later.
It's not the Berserker, but let's just take for instance the Berserker. Like Could the Undertaker have been? Could Mark
John
Calloway be the
Nord. Yeah, yeah,
Berserker and John Nord be the Undertaker? It's like no. Like there's a reason why certain characters fit,
yeah.
and I don't think that Taylor would have fit as a perfect guy because. And you're right, he would have just been a run of the mill mid card heel that everybody would have beat up on, and then whatever, he would have been forgotten. Whereas if Hennig came in and he just was Curt Hennig and that's it, like
Right.
he probably still would have achieved
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
success because he just had that attitude, that it factor.
Yeah, it's the factor for him because I don't even think there's a big discernible difference in their work. Like I think one of the biggest things we've uncovered through say the GWWE project and stuff that we've done stretch projects is like I think WWF work wise, guys like Mr. Perfect, Rick Rude are like a little overrated.
Yeah.
In the ring when you look just like at match output, I think Perfect's less overrated than Rude, but um he's still a great wrestler, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't think Taylor could talk like Perfect could because
No.
Perfect's a guy where even with managers that could talk, like a Poffo and
Hmm.
a Bobby, and then with Flair, he still talked on his own all the time. Like
Sure.
he didn't need them to talk for him; it just
Right.
added to the package. But
Right.
I mean, he went toe to toe with him and Flair as a package, and like
Hmm.
it was never like Flair dominated and Perfect was just in the background. I mean, he was talking as much as Flair was. So like he had. I can see why they went with him for this role. I mean, he had the look, he had the cachet, the it factor.
Yeah. And there it
I say
is.
he won with basically like a discus punch. I mean, that
Um,
was the
I would.
Taylor did a clean job. So to me, this in no way is anyone watching this match to decide which of these two guys is getting
No.
pushed. Like it is obvious here. It's like a 4-minute squash. Like Taylor didn't get much in at all.
I would say the only difference in this match versus a normal Curt Hennig match is that he didn't bump all over the world for Terry Taylor like he does with
Well, that
everybody
tells
else.
you even more, right? That
Yeah.
they didn't want this fucking guy selling for him. Like they're
Yeah.
like,
I
just
mean,
go in there
Hennig,
and eat him up, basically.
that's probably that I think is one of the biggest differences between a guy like Rude and a guy like Hennig is that Rude, while he bumped and he was funny with his bumping, like when you would do the
Right.
inverted atomic drops and stuff, like nobody bumped like Hennig. I mean, I don't
No.
think who's the next guy to come after him? Shawn? Like Shawn
Yeah,
Michaels
Sean
bumped
probably
and
said
not
that.
even
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels rockers. It's like Shawn Michaels later on
Heel Sean.
bumps
Yeah.
it. Yeah, heel Shawn is but he bumps as much as Hennig. And that's what I think is probably differentiated him between everybody else is that you knew that he could go in, he could protect himself, he could make the other guy look great, and
Hmm.
even if he lost, it was okay. I mean, look at who he lost to in his first few years. You know, it was
Right.
what Hogan and Warrior. That's and then the
That's the
beefer,
the beefer,
the beefer.
beefer
So
spread it all over WrestleMania.
and also I also think about like the Bobby Heenan pairing him up with Bobby Heenan. Bobby Heenan with him was a lot more like how Paul Heyman would talk for
Hmm.
Brock with Brock not
Yeah.
being there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Bobby Heenan would come out, talk shit, and then Perfect would come out and cut his own promo,
All
and
right,
that's
back
what
it
I
up.
like.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
It was more of like an elite level guy versus like we need Bobby to talk for him.
sure.
So I
I
think
still I still
I'm.
think Perfect should have had a run with the title. I think Perfect should
Yeah,
have. I think Perfect should have shenanigans afoot beat Hogan and then had Warrior be Perfect at 6. That's what I think should have
I
happened.
think they would have if they hadn't just done it with DiBiase
Yeah.
screwing Hogan, and then they just had the year with Savage. Like I think
Hmm.
they were hesitant to then have like Perfect do like the
Sure.
same thing.
Yeah.
Um, I think Perfect's time, honestly, and I know physically he's starting to break down, but I think 93
Yeah.
was the time. Like
Yeah.
I think if he beats, like I don't want to take away Brett's run, but
He beats Yoko at the end of 9. Like he comes out
no,
to.
Perfect beats Flair. I know they had
Oh,
to get the
okay.
belt off of Flair to the ear thing, and Perfect
Yeah.
wasn't turned yet. But like, if Perfect beat Flair for the title, and then he puts Brett over, like that
Hmm.
path, like is one that could work.
Like at
Because look at their
9.
King of the Ring match is great, you know.
Yeah.
So that that's whatever. That's for another day.
Yeah.
But I think we've concluded the mystery here. I'm confident that Mr. Perfect's gonna be Mr. Perfect. I know you have the history pulled up. Can you see the first time? Does it say like his debut as Mr. Perfect? I guess we can wrap with that if we can find that. Because I'm
Uh,
curious how long after this they change him.
I don't know if they actually ever give
Because
you on
at
Cage
Survivor
Match.
Series, at Survivor Series, he's
Oh
Mr.
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Um,
So on Cage Match it says the first time they list him as Mr. Perfect, it's actually August 27th, 88. But I think he was still being billed as Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig.
Curt Hennig. Yeah.
And then I think I would say it's probably 9, maybe when he starts pairing up with no, because is he listed as Mr. Perfect at WrestleMania 5 when he fights the
5
Blazer?
is where he's got the Olympic gear because Jesse says it. Remember, he's got
Yeah.
some new gear, Olympic type gear, and that's when he's just Mr. Perfect. I know Survivor Series, he's still kind of Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig.
Yeah.
At the Rumble, he's got the short tights. I don't remember they call him Curt Hennig there as well.
Yeah.
I would say by 5, he's fully
Yeah.
full on Mr. Perfect, and that's
So my guess is probably January, February of '89.
But when did they start the Mr. Perfect name? I guess what I'm saying. It looks like it's
Oh, it's '88. It's the first time
so,
that but he's being billed as Curt Hennig, Mr. Perfect on August 27th at a house show.
Right. His debut TV return was September 11th, 88.
Yeah.
On All American. He beat Ron Ravachad.
Wow.
And then October 1st.
Arena.
October 1st was the first vignette
Mm.
where he was repackaged with the name Mr. Perfect and doing the stuff we all know, the bowling and all that.
Yeah.
The first time is Mr. Perfect on TV is the October 4th primetime against Brunzell. So I would say they probably spent August and September with that gimmick on the house shows, and then introduced it on TV over September into October. So there's no way this is the tryout. I don't buy it. This is way too close to that timeline. For him.
Like I said, it just has to do. I mean, once you started seeing the vignettes and everybody saying that shit was legit.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine. Like I said, I go back to the conversation where everybody meets up with Vince, and Vince kind of says, "What do you do?" I mean, isn't that how we got Duke the Dumpster Drosy?
Yeah, all that.
What do you do? I like to empty garbage cans. Oh, you're gonna be this guy in a dumpster. So I mean, I would say that I think that he was always going to be perfect. I still, and I know it'll never come out because no one will ever tell the truth. I think Taylor pissed somebody off when he went in for his talk with Vince.
Well, that probably led to the Red Rooster, and I mean, again, that's probably a story for another day. But I think, maybe he just would have been Terry Taylor, right? And then they just decided to do the stupid thing where Bobby's like, "I'll give you the dumbest gimmick possible and get you over," and that turned into him becoming an actual Rooster. It pretty much plagued the rest of his career. One of my favorite moments is at Raw 99 or whatever, when he was there as an interviewer, and JR was doing the pissed off JR stuff, and he's like, "Let's go to the Rooster." Just completely emasculated. I'm
let's go to the Rooster.
Idiot interviewing someone. He's like, "Let's go back, throw it to the Rooster."
You stupid piece of shit. But I mean, I even love how he comes in with his friggin' flare robe. Even at the beginning of the video, he's wearing his flare robe saying Terry or Taylor.
Terrific. I don't think he's even terrific yet.
But... Yeah, shut up. You're not terrific. You suck.
Yeah. His highlight was interviewing the male family at King of the Ring 93.
Exactly.
All right. We're out. ChroNoSo. Thanks for watching. Subscribe on YouTube if you're watching this, and continue listening if you're listening to the audio. We're going to throw it over to someone to talk about another match on the card. Whatever's next.
Word.
Yeah, whatever's next. Bye. We're out.
Bye.